Hey everybody, it's been a while. Figured I'd go ahead and do an update on the Buzzsaw Bus. A lot has changed since my last YouTube video. I'm going to go over a lot of that stuff. Try not to glance on the stuff that I've already covered with the front cab. But there is some new stuff that happened to the front cab. And then obviously the work bed truck has been added on. One second, I got to play fetch with Frank. I'm here in the hills of Southern California, outside of Anza. Just chilling here. Went to Buses by the Bridge, going to Octo next. But I figured I'd go ahead and give you a wrap on everything that's going on with the bus now. So let's check it out. All right, so obviously we're camping here. We're set up here on this beautiful hilltop. So I found this service bed off of Facebook Marketplace. Paid $800 for it. I picked it up somewhere north. I think it was like Brighton or something. Loaded it onto a U-Haul trailer and then hauled it all the way out here. Well, not here, but to my house, and went ahead and welded it all up, cut it all up. Lots of work. Went into retrofitting this service bed on here. It definitely was not something that was made for a Volkswagen bus. Especially an 11-window combi that has been cut up, but it sure does work pretty good in my opinion. Normally I got it set up for my work truck, but I figured I'd go ahead and make a camping setup. So let's dive in here. So this is our kitchen cabinet. And here, this is where we keep all the kitchen stuff. You got your soap, you got your backup foods like ramen. I actually have only eaten ramen once out of camping in this bus, but I do keep it as just a backup. I also have a whole thing of rice, nothing to go with it, but just in case, you know, you get stuck somewhere or something happens, you got backup food. Keep a whole lunch box of spices up in here, trash bags, hand soap, oatmeal, another backup, just staple food, you know, just in case. Keep dog food underneath here. So it actually fits in my little treasure chest that I made. It just sits in there like that. If you notice, there is a bus tow bar in here as well. So I keep that on me all times just in case I break down. Here we have our fuel lever so that we can shut off the fuel or go to the reserve tank. I usually just keep it on the main tank. Show that real quick, put the water back. So there we got our 2 fuel tanks. This was actually a tank that I picked up at the same place as where I bought the bus from. And that's the original tank for this bus. I keep it as a reserve. Both of them work flawlessly, great. Usually I don't have this metal box here, but it keeps all my camping supplies. So I got my drone that I put in there. Got your door here. Got some backup overalls just in case I need to work on something. Backup dog leashes. Backup chair. Fuel, camp fuel. I got a backup propane tank. Bottle jack for jacking it up. I got the summer top that I originally made. Just chilling in there. It's really dirty now. Sleeping pad. Just a couple extra things. That's usually where I put the chairs so that everything fits in there good. And I don't have to overload the back and kind of get the weight somewhat up here in the front. You can see I also made a new top for the cab. It's got zippers on it, snaps, all the good stuff. I can get it. Oh no, there it is. So I can make it so I have a back window. When I was sewing these up, I actually did 2 of the same color of this. So I will have a different one later, but it's really hard to sew through the hook portion of Velcro. And I was just tired. I literally finished it and then headed here, or well, to Buses by the Bridge, goodness sakes. Before I did that, I went ahead and made these door frames. Got these little gussets in here. I've also used those little gussets all over the place. They're the same ones that hold my seat in, and then I did use them in the corners here. I'll show you that in a minute. 2 layers of canvas. I did black on the inside and white on the outside so it reflects sun, and then this kind of just holds in a little bit of light, makes it so it's not so bright in here. Recently made these door panels. I found this handle here at Buses by the Bridge, and I also picked up these lower kick panels. I really like the way those turned out. Just overall, it kind of matches the seat, black and gray, floor mat's black. Amazon mat, I've already covered a lot of that stuff because it was already there, but it's starting to really look like a actual bus here. Oh, I think I had this before. It's my stereo. I welded this. This is an aluminum box. And I just got 2 speakers on it, car stereo, cord for my phone, just in case. It works off of the headlights, which is nice because it only works when the headlights are on. This is the way I wanted it. I had lettering done by my buddy Austin. He does Daisy's General Store, Dax Dub Depot on there. Had that on the front. We do have some more lettering that we want to do on the door here, but that'll come at a different time. Front bumper, didn't have that before. Trying to go for a Hearst bumper here soon. That would really just kind of complete the look, in my opinion. Let's see here, pretty much everything's good there. Then we got our diesel heater here. This thing is a freaking champion. I have been running this for 12 days, off and on, sometimes all night, sometimes just a couple hours, and I am still on my first 5 gallons of diesel, and it's been 12 days of running this thing. But I do have it so I can Velcro these patches here. Like I said, I accidentally made 2 of them that were brown. Whoops. But that goes over there when I'm traveling. That way the hose doesn't get ripped. I did forget it once, and it did get ripped, but thankfully it's 8 feet long, so it didn't really matter. Continuing on to this side, we don't really keep much in here. Get this open. So I got my second battery in here. That's what runs the diesel heater. And that's it. I just keep that. Try to keep it charged up all the time so I don't, have to worry about my heater not working or anything, but I do have a backup source of power for that. This side, it's kind of just your liquids cabinet. I got my backup water, 5 gallons of diesel. I just filled up yesterday, finally. I got all your various fluids in here, carb cleaners, transmission fluid, big jug of oil, some PPE, straps, bungee cords, things like that. I do have a spare rim in there right now. I just picked that up at Buses by the Bridge so I can have a full-size spare. I need to mount that. I do have a spare, but it's behind the seat. Doesn't really matter. It's a boring one anyway. Here you can see the wiring for the second battery disappearing through there. This cabinet here, this is kind of another overflow. You got your master bathroom right here. You got your shovel just in case you need to go utilize that. I have a jump box in here, tire patching kit, battery charger, backup starter, backup parts, just a ton of stuff in there. Got Frank's little sheep in here. You can let him have that. Backup ball, lots of backup balls for Frank. There's my battery isolator, jack, just in case I need it, backup hitch pins, backup oil filter, just lots of backups in here, and that's where the main battery is anyway. This is all organized and clean, I swear. This cabinet, just kind of your trash, overflow. I got all my seals in here. I got my boomer boards in here for when I'm at shows. Got my hitch. Let's see what else in there. I got an inverter, 100-foot extension cord, some rope, just in case. Brake bleeding kit, transmission fluid pump that I got from Harbor Freight. So you just do a hand on it. Kind of sucks, but If you need it, it's there. Usually I only open this portion here so I can access my trash, but it's nice to have a little trash spot. Yosemite Sam mud flapped because he's badass. Got the Daxed Up Depot plates with the Bilston plate cover because I'm rocking all Bilstons on all 4 corners. There you go, Frank. Here we got a 1914 motor that I found in a pink Baja Bug. It did not look like this. It was kind of just really outdated. It had Mr. Bug, linkage on it, which hasn't been around forever. I do have a light up in there. I need to hook it up, but it is there. Anyway, this motor, so I pulled it out of that pink Baja Bug, stuffed a 1600 and sold that for $500 less than I bought it for. So I paid $500 for this motor. It was built in 1988. It's a 1914. I added the CB Magna Spark, the Gene-Berg linkage, the 75 amp alternator, the lower pulley, blah, 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 all the different CB Magna Spark stuff. It had the Weber carbs already. They're in great shape. It runs fantastic, super smooth. I rejetted it just recently for this lower altitude, but I have had no issues with the engine. It's just running great. I'm super happy with it. Lots of power. It pushes this big heavy guy. The 1776 I had in there did not cut it. It was just underpowered. It had a stock cam in there and it just wasn't doing very good. But anyway, so I got this rabbit tailgate. I went ahead and welded that up. So I'd have a custom tailgate, it's got to say Volkswagen. Gonna do some lettering on top of there, probably white or yellow, just to make the letters pop. When I made this top, I went ahead and sewed the Buzzsaw Bus logo on the back because I figured it needed it on the front and the back. And you know what? It's kind of got a barn door vibe going for it. So barn door buses don't have the usual overhang in the front. Usually the bus has a little bit of an overhang that comes out here. Mine doesn't. It kind of is curved. I did that curve on purpose. I kind of wanted it to be curved just so it wasn't just a bunch of straight bars up there. And then when I did it, I was like, it kind of looks like a barn door. And then barn doors usually had that big logo up on the back if they didn't have a window. But I just thought it was fun, cool to do. It was a lot of work on the sewing machine trying to get all of these little corners. That's why I sewed it to a separate piece and then sewed that to this. But I just had fun with it. Got some zippers here. Open that up. You see the sleeping quarters. So I figured it would just be boring if I just did brown on the outside and brown on the inside, and it would probably just not look great. So I went ahead and did plaid all around the edges, did a white canvas here, and then I did a black stripe down the middle. I just figured that would be kind of fun to do, just so it wasn't super boring. If you notice, you can see the windows actually have a screen material sewn in between them. That way I can keep the windows open. I don't have to worry about bugs getting in, dogs getting, out if they're in there. And then I can just kind of half stick it, if I wanted. That way I can get a little bit of air, or I can close it off. I've been closing it off recently because it's been kind of chilly out here. But that gives you the basic setup of that. Also forgot on the engine, I got an A1 exhaust on there. Bought it from a buddy. It was on a lowered car, and I had to re-weld this piece here, get it just so it would seal up nice. I need to get a different type of muffler, because if you look, it aims straight at the ground. What it does is it blows all the dirt up into the air, and then the engine's sucking in air, so it just breathes all of that dirt, which is not the greatest, but it works fine for now. And then we're gonna go ahead and bring that exhaust probably out the back here. I think that would look cool if it was just kind of like an old truck, just loping its way down the road. Let's see. This cabinet here, this is just another kind of overflow. I'll keep all my dirty rags in here. Got a fresh box of gloves here. I have an empty fuel can. It's empty just because it's leaks. and I have 2 gas tanks. But if I ever get in a situation I need a gas can, I do have one. We got our tarp here that will cover most of the bus, but I haven't had to use it. It rained last night. It was fine. Not a big deal. Works for me. This cabinet here, I do have all of our tools. It was organized a little bit, but things move around every time I drive it, so you know, I get kind of tired of organizing it. But I have a whole tap and die set in here. I have a full set of metric sockets, impact from like 5.5 all the way up to 36. So pretty much anything you would need, it's all there. That's all the different cabinets on the bus. You could see there was a lot of metal work that went into this, a lot of fabrication. It just hours and hours and hours. I actually made this whole rear apron here. I spot welded it. I attached the seal there so it would seal up nice. Put a bend on it so it would bend back towards this way. Drilled out and tapped all of these holes. So your apron comes out, and then the engine will come forward, and it still has to come down and out. It's not like a regular bus where it'll just slide out. But I wanted the frame to be really strong. So if you see, this is the frame right here, and that diamond plate where I extended it, that's just a fish plate. Make sure it's nice and strong. There's one on each side, actually. So there's 4 fish plates per frame side. I used 2x2 square tubing, brought it all the way out to here. And then this is actually a U-Haul hitch that I cut up and adapted to fit. Can't really see all of it too much, but you can see all the different plates that I welded in there. Some of the welds look better than the others, but it is what it is. And then I, just Frenched in that's just a little piece. That's the hitch. And then that's the box. I kind of just blended all 3 of them together here, kind of worked it up there. I'm probably going to make a deck lead one day. I'm not really quite sure how I'm going to do that. I'm still figuring it out. And then if you notice, this piece is actually where your floor heater vents come out on the floor up there. So I cut that piece, I flipped it around, and then I made it so it fit here. I just thought it had really cool grooves on it, and I like these little circles, so I went ahead and made sure the bolt or the flathead screw just bolts right into that, which I think is cool. I used the rest of that rabbit tailgate back there. I don't know if you can really see it. Just kind of as a divider between the gas tanks. I thought that would look cool. I'm really happy with that. Let's see what else we got here. Matching pillowcase, of course. Normally doesn't look like this. I normally got the sleeping bag all rolled up because the dogs will destroy it. They love to sleep in my bed. It's great. It's super fantastic. And then also I have this rolled up screen here. I went ahead and sewed a little edge onto it, and that works for the back window. I usually tuck it in, but that gives you a screen on the back, so the dogs don't try to jump out or whatever. Bugs don't get in. It's not like it's perfectly sealed, but it works pretty good. Yeah, 1 second, Frank. There you go. That's a lot of the updates for now. I'm sure I'm missing something. Oh, I got wipers now. My wipers work, so that's really cool. I put these bigger mirrors on here. I only had 1 mirror before, and it was just a little circle, and I couldn't see jack shit out of it, and I knew I was going on this long road trip. And it's kind of nice to be able to see what's happening on the sides and behind you, so I put those on there, and I got them for free anyway. I was a little spirited the other day, and I don't know if you can hear it. I accidentally put a little bit of play into my sway bar, not sway bar, but into my tie rod. Oh goodness, Frank, I know, I gotta play fetch with you all the time, huh? There you go. So I gotta replace that tie rod. I'm gonna do that when I get down into SoCal, but for now it's fine. With the floor, I went ahead and left that. If you notice, I left the floor all the way to back here, and then that's where I cut it off and made it so you had lots of access up in here. You can see your shift coupler and, you know, get to your fuel line, starter, all that good stuff. There's a 2x6 beam in here, and that's where I put all of the weight of these boxes on, and it's sitting right on top of the frame. I tried to make it so the rear axle is supporting most of the weight. According to the owner's manual for 66 bus, the rear axle can handle about 2,500 pounds just by itself. These boxes usually weigh about 1,000 pounds. I took off the rear bumper. I cut out a lot of the guts of it. So I'm hoping I lost some weight. I'm not really sure. Another thing I did here, if you notice this piece, it usually goes above your gas tank over here. But I just moved it over and down and just used that for that piece, and then just cleaned up all of this in here. My rockers are still there. They go all the way in. Kind of just left it there because it was like, oh, you can kind of see it there. You know, it's not the prettiest thing, but I don't know. What should I do? Box it off, I guess. I just thought it was cool to have a treasure chest, you know, that kind of went all the way through. But I'm sure I'm forgetting some stuff. It's basically your rundown of this whole thing, you know. There's a million different little custom pieces, and I could spend all day talking about every little piece that I welded onto this thing, because it was just hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of welding. I probably have 2 10-pound spools of wire on here. I went through like 2 125 cubic feet fucking gas tanks. Just so much work, so much grinding, so many grinder wheels, so many cutting wheels, just so many pieces of metal. I mean, each piece of metal had to be fabricated, you know. I mean, this piece, getting it bent in there and fit, you know, took forever. These are big pieces, fit and all of that, you know. I mean, there's just endless hours of fabrication, you know. I mean, this panel took me a couple days just to make, you know. Like, so a lot of people don't realize fabrication takes a long time. There's cutting and bending and, you know, fitting and making sure it looks good. And, you know, I wish I did a better job on my tailgate. It's kind of warped. I mean, it's pretty warped. But I was just in a hurry trying to get it done before I before I sold my house. And I'm happy with it. You know, a lot of people compliment it and they say it looks, you know, kind of just fits it. So I guess it works. But yeah, go ahead and leave it off for there. Oh, Sandy. I did forget one thing. I also have these solar panels and this little EcoFlow box. It's great. I love this thing. It works super good. It takes about 7% to charge my phone, and you know, out of 100%, I mean, you can charge your phone a bunch of times. This is the first time I've been using these panels on this trip, and they work great. I was at 58% this morning. At 62 now, but it's been kind of cloudy. And every time the sun goes behind the clouds, obviously it doesn't charge so great. Oh no! But like I said, it only takes 7% to charge my phone. We're already up 4%. And, you know, there you go. Of course, I forgot one more thing. I do have my Sammy tent. That's what I call it, because Sammy loves this tent. She likes to hang out in here usually. That's why I got a dog bed in here, but it's good for storage. I have these 2 bins. They were full of swap meet stuff. One is only swap meet stuff, and the other one now is just overflow. All my trinkets and shirts and freaking sweaters and stickers and everything else I bought at Buses by the Bridge is all in here. Coats, you know, things like that I don't need right now because it hasn't been too cold. You know, got all my clothes, laundry, swap meet stuff. Got my longboard. That's my backup transportation. But the storage tent is nice because then I don't have to deal with those bins all the time in the back of the bus. I can just throw them in here and then go about my life. But if I do stay somewhere that I can't set up a tent, one of those bins fits in the front seat, and then the other bin actually fits right into the engine bay right here. So I can stuff those two there and be somewhat self-contained with that. But that's it for now. Oh, the propane does go over in the liquids cabinet, and the Frank, he goes up there in the front cab and he lays on the floor and plays with this here sheep. But that's it for the Buzzsaw Bus for right now. There'll be plenty of updates, I'm sure. I'm always building, welding, and grinding on this thing. It's kind of getting to a point where I'm running out of stuff to do on it, which is cool. But I will keep you guys updated. See you around.